Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Bain Break It Down Forex. It's your boy Big Bain and this thing. You guys guessed it. Another week, another opportunity for us to make some money in the Forex market. So let's get right to it. All right. Boom. Guys, over on the dollar. We are bullish on the dollar, but we have not completed our retracement. So I'm looking for the dollar to simply sweep this sell side liquidity, tap into this area or this point of interest, this demand area, before potentially rising to get the buy side liquidity. All right, so we do have some economic news this week. I believe CPI and PPI it may be, so I'm just going to check it really quick. So next week it looks like, yeah, it's CPI on Tuesday at 8:30, and then we have PPI on Wednesday, followed by the new chairman testifying on Wednesday at 10 a.m. So we got an eventful week, again, Tuesday and Wednesday for CPI and PPI, which will definitely affect the dollar and get it to start moving and grooving. So the way that, I typically see this going is on Monday when there's no news, we'll probably find our way falling to this area. And then on Tuesday, when CPI comes out in the morning, we'll probably get that push up. All right, maybe this will, continue to fall Monday and Tuesday, and then maybe Wednesday we'll get the rise to the top with PPI. But one of those days, either Tuesday or Wednesday, is when we're going to get that move to the upside on the dollar. And of course, anything is possible, right? We can also fall down and not respect this demand area and then just continue falling down, right? That is a possibility that is always on the table, but the chances of that happening for now is slim, simply because we have not broken that demand area just yet. Right, so only when that happens is when we'll put the potential of the dollar continuing to drop on the table, right? But for right now, we're looking at a falling channel, right, which is all the pullback in the retracement phase of the uptrend on the dollar. All right, so all of this internal market structure and price action that we're seeing here is simply grabbing sell side liquidity to fuel the move to the upside. All right, and plus, Trump is doing, what he does with, backtracking on all of his promises, with the whole Iran situation and what have you, right? One day they're friends, the next day they're enemies, and the charade goes on and on. So for now it seems like war is back on. All right, and typically the dollar will rise in situations like that, right? Doesn't make sense, but it is what it is, right? Also, with the dollar rising, that would typically cause gold and silver and things like that to fall. But don't, go with the correlation, right off the bat with that, because you can have a situation where the dollar's rising, but gold and silver is also rising, right? Market structure is king, not correlation. All right, so don't forget that. But in terms of the dollar, guys, again, I'm looking for a sweep of liquidity, right? Sell side liquidity to the downside first before we get that major push up to the upside. So from now, I'm temporarily bearish on the dollar, and then I'm overall bullish for the week, especially when CPI and PPI come out on Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, moving over to JPY. All right, so with JPY, we're a little mixed because we broke this low right here, and then we made this new low. But off of the new low, we had a massive push up, breaking above this strong high. So we now have what we call a change of character, all right, to the upside. Okay, and with this change of character, guys, typically that will begin the retracement phase up to the supply area. All right, so again, breaking the low, making the new low, that means we're in a downtrend. All right, but this supply area we're heading towards, because we just shifted from bearish to bullish in this move here. All right, so what I'm expecting on the JPY, guys, is for us to push down initially to fill this imbalance. All right, maybe take out the swing low before we potentially get up to supply, and who knows, right? We may drop from supply, but then we may also break supply and continue to start rising. Time will tell. But right now, just going with the market structure that we have, I see JPY making a retracement to this fair value gap, again possibly lower before going up to that supply area. So this is a situation where when the JPY is falling, you want to be looking to, or yeah, coming down, you want to be looking to buy pairs like GJ, EJ, etc. All right, but you know, don't expect it to be a major move to the upside, because again, this retracement here is just to fill the imbalance to go and fuel the move up to supply. And then, you know, once we get to supply, you know, we'll have to evaluate what price is doing at that point. But it's where you want to sell, buy JPY or GJ or EJ when it's falling, and then as it begins to rise, you want to sell GJ or EJ. All right, but as far as the structure that we have on JPY right now, we have a bearish trend, but we're now in the pullback phase of that bearish trend. So you're going to see price starting to rise for that retracement till it gets to supply, and then potentially dropping from that supply zone. All right, guys, so I'm temporarily bearish, right, on JPY. I'm expecting a rise up, all right, and then from there we're probably going to get a big push down. Just depends. Okay, so for now, temporarily bearish and then overall bullish, right, with JPY getting to that supply area. So again, you guys should know what to do with EJ and GJ as I explained it just a little earlier. All right, guys, moving over to odd dollar. All right, getting to look at the structure from here, and we are bearish. All right, on odd dollar, we broke this low, and you know, nasty fall, right? Finally made a low, eventually started to push up and change from down to up in this push up right here, breaking this high, right? Really it was this high that we broke. I just brought it over, so it's really, you know, breaking here, but these are equal highs that we broke, so it's even more significant with letting us know that the retracement has started, right? So when we broke, we did, you know, get this liquidity and push down, but now we pushed up a little bit more, getting, you know, just a little bit more, you know, probably we're gonna because the dollar does have a little bit of falling to do before it rises, right? So if it falls, that means odd dollar is going to rise up to grab this liquidity, tap into supply before it's going to, you know, make its move to the downside. All right, guys, so looking at odd dollar here, it looks like we got a bit of a rising channel, okay, just like that. And we all know that that is a bullish, a bearish reversal chart pattern. All right, so we're looking for odd dollar to simply sweep liquidity, tap into supply, come down, take out the high, change character to down, and at that point we'll be looking to sell odd dollar, as it will absolutely get back to the low that it previously made over here, right? And we're looking at roughly 130 pips for that. All right, guys, so with you knowing this, with me saying this right now, the way that you guys take advantage of this, right, without having to wait at the charts, is just going to put you a sell limit order at the supply area. It's that simple, guys. This is 34 pip stop loss. Here is a 1 to 2 just right in this area, giving you 71 pips, right? So you would double whatever your investment is just off of this position. But we know that there's liquidity here, and at the swing low, so we can aim for that swing low, especially if we're going to continue the downtrend on odd dollar, guys. That's going to give us 130 pips, right? This is one trade. If you're able to take out a standard lot, which is for the odd dollar, you really only need about $200 to $300 in your account with a leverage of 1 to 500, and you can take out a standard lot. You'll be risking $340, right, on the trade. So again, you want to have a little more than 200 in your account, right? 4 to 500 would be best, but you take out a standard lot and you make 1,300 in probably a day, okay? And maybe it'll continue to fall, right? But I'm trying to give you guys a visual of what is possible when you understand market structure. You have a good setup and you have the capital to take out a standard lot. You can make good money in a very short period of time. But you know, you got to hear what I'm saying and, you know, be prepared. So don't just come on the charts, look at it and wait for it to do all of this. Go ahead and just set your order and forget about it, right? It'll do whatever it's going to do that week. And if it's, you know, if any of this, what I'm saying is true, it will activate your order, eventually push to the low and hit your TP, and you'll be happy that you didn't have to wait around for it to happen. All right, you just set it and forget it, and the rest is history, guys. I am temporarily bullish on our dollar and overall bearish on our dollar. All right, guys, moving over to EU. Same thing with the EU. All right, we are bearish. We broke the low, made the new low. All of this is the retracement. Do you guys notice how when we're making the run, we get straight push down, right? But then when we're making the retracement, we get all of this up and down, left and right, up and down, left and right. They do that to confuse you so that you don't know that all of this is just the retracement, right? So all of this was the run coming down. All of this is the retracement going up, and now you're going to get all the run phase once again coming back down, right? And it'll be a move just like this. You'll see how price just drops, right? So this is what, this is the beauty of one, being with my team and being able to understand market structure, right? And knowing what the cycle is all about, how the system works, right? This is a systematic thing, and most people are just not aware of that to be able to take advantage of the market, right? They're losing left and right because they're trading in, this retracement phase, and, they're trying to sell. It drops a little bit, then it goes against them, drops a little bit, goes against them, drops a little bit, goes completely against them. And then after it does all this, what happens, right? You were selling here, selling here, selling there, but you kept getting hit, and then eventually it drops, and you're like, wait a minute, I was in a sell. Why didn't I make any money? Because you didn't understand the cycle. You didn't understand the system. You didn't understand market structure. If you are alone, right, in this Forex journey of yours, and you need someone to hold your hand, explain things to help you get this, make sure to check me out, forexwithbain.com. Click on the link for the Discord. I promise you I will get you right. All right, so on euro dollar, we've already got into our supply area, and we're starting to fall, right? We've gotten below the low of the previous day, which was that Thursday or Friday. So now as we get into this week, we're simply going to fall. All right, I'm bearish on euro dollar. All right, moving over to pound dollar. This is the play of the week. All right, again, this is textbook market structure. Broke the low, made the new low, started the retracement. Look at how all that retracement took forever in a lifetime to get back to supply. Once it got to supply, look how it respected it and started to fall. So my team was already in the sell from Friday to catch GU making that drop. So this is a situation where we got what we need to succeed, and as the week begins, we're slowly but surely going to make that drop to grab this sell side liquidity and potentially get to the swing low, giving us over 275 pips to the downside. Guys, GU is the play of the week. Don't miss out on it. It is going to tank. I'm bearish. All right, moving over to New Zealand dollar. You guys get the picture, right? Same birds of a feather, right? In terms of the non-dollar based pairs, right? Where the dollar is on the right hand side and your pairs are on your opposite pairs are on the left. Okay, so because of that, again, guys, we have broken the low, made the new low, right? Look at the consolidation before we start the retracement, right back up to our supply area, reject it nicely, and we're starting to fall. You want to have some kind of position like this, right? Again, the dollar may fall a little bit, so New Zealand dollar may push up to this supply zone before it falls. If that's the case, well, what do I do, Bain? How do I take advantage of that? Man, I'm so glad you asked, right? Put your sell limit order in this area, right? You can put it in the middle of the supply and your stop above the high. You're looking at just a 45 pip stop loss, taking it down to the low for 200 pips on New Zealand dollar. Again, on a standard lot, that's 2 bands, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody needs to hear me, all right? This can change your life this week if you take advantage of it, all right? So, make your deposit, get your account ready to go, and if you need help with it, holla at me. I will tell you how it goes, how to do it, right? Inbox me, whatever you got to do, just let me know, all right, guys? But New Zealand dollar, I am bearish. All right, over the dollar CAD, simply I'm bullish, all right? Like I mentioned, the dollar can drop a little bit, but eventually it's going to rise. Right now, we broke the low, but we tapped into this FVG, and then we're getting ready to rise. All right, so because of that, I'm ready for the dollar CAD to simply just go up and potentially break above this high because we have liquidity that's all here that has never been taken. All right, so each one of these lower highs here, as price was falling, we created liquidity. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas of liquidity that price can easily push up to take out and go and get. We're talking over 100 pips, maybe more, all right, for dollar CAD. And then if we look at this from a daily time frame, for my swing traders, okay, look at how we got rejection of all of these candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost a week worth of candles. We swept the low, tapping into the FEG, leaving behind a massive wick, which shows rejection of sellers, right? Price was pushing down, but then the buyers pushed it up, leaving this wick. So now where's our area of where price most likely wants to, push up to? It is these highs here. All right, guys. So again, about 100 pips to the upside, potentially more, because we are in, unprecedented times with the Iran war and what have you, right? So we're going to get a good push up on dollar CAD once the week opens up. All right, so I'm bullish on dollar CAD. Dollar CHF, again, it was bearish, right? Breaking the low, making the new low, and doing all the retracement. Once we got to our fair value gap and tapped into supply, we did drop, as we should in a downtrend. However, we found a floor right here, right? So as price was here and it started to drop, it should have broken this low. It hasn't done that so far, right? What it did was it pushed up and it broke above this high. This was a strong high that broke this low. So now we have a change from down to up. Now, most likely we're going to come down to, like I said, because the dollar wants to drop a little bit. So we're probably going to come down to demand, and then from there we're going to get the rise up. So you want to have a position set here in this demand area, right? Stop right below it, taking it right up to the supply area. You get yourself 75 pips and a 4 to 0.44 risk to reward ratio. Those angel numbers, guys, that is a good setup and a good trade to take on dollar CHF. I'm bullish. All right, moving over to dollar JPY. All right, so here we were in a downtrend. We broke the low, made the new low. Once again, don't that sound like a broken record, right? We started to retrace. We got into our supply area perfectly here. All right, that was our supply zone. And look how we tapped into it to the T right in the middle. And then we had a major drop. My team caught this right here for 100 and some odd pips, 120 some odd pips in just a day. But now we're at a demand area, right? We're creating pretty much equal lows, but we can pretty much push up to this area before we may fall from there. All right, and that's what I told you guys all about JPY. But long story short, for dollar JPY, I am looking for it to rise because the dollar looks like it's going to rise, right? So who knows, it may get to supply and get higher, or it may get to supply, reject it and fall. We'll know, when the time comes. But for now, I am bullish on dollar JPY. All right, over the pound odd, broke the high, made the new high. All of this retracement was very nasty, but we never broke above the high. So we have liquidity that was created at this low, even this low, this one, and then we never tapped into demand. There's a little liquidity behind demand. So I'm looking for, and now we also just kind of broke lows here. After we consolidated, we pushed down and broke some lows. So this is giving us our supply area, okay, to where price most likely will retrace to it and then come and get this sell side liquidity before potentially rising from this demand area. All right, so if you're looking to try to take advantage of the pullback, right, you're looking at about 140 pips to the downside, and then once price gets to demand, that's when we want to be looking for it to rise, because we are in a overall uptrend, and then you can get 140 or 200 pips coming back up on pound odd. I am temporarily bearish and then overall bullish on pound odd. All right, pound CAD. All right, we had a change of character here, made a new low. We retraced back to this supply area, and then we started to fall. Right, we also broke again just a minor low here, right, telling us that this is a very valid supply area. So the thing that's going to happen with pound CAD here is that it's most likely going to get into supply and then start to drop and eat away at all of the sell side liquidity that we see here. So once again, we're looking at a great setup with potential to make almost 300 pips. Standard lot, that is 3 bands. Ladies and gentlemen, please, hear, what I'm saying to you guys, and try to take advantage of it as best you can. I am bearish on pound CAD. All right, over 2 pound CHF. Same thing, a lot of liquidity that has not gotten got. We're bullish on it, right? So we broke the high, made the new high, and we're kind of playing around at breaking that high. But for now, we have not broken that high, so there is potential that we can start the retracement, right? It may not be this deep because again, this is the strong low here, so we may not get below this low. But for now, I can just tell that we haven't gotten any fuel to push price up. All right, even though it could still be, it can still just pop out and rise from where it is currently, right? We typically see liquidity getting taken before we see that actual continuation of a move up or down, no matter how you slice and dice it. That's typically what will happen first. So I will be looking for a retracement down on pound CAD, but pound CHF, but I understand that we could easily just continue rising. So be very careful, trying to sell it right out the gate. We want to see some kind of low being broken before we sell it. All right. So for now, pound CHF is still bullish, right? But if we break some lows, start looking for your selling opportunity. I'm bullish on pound CHF. Pound New Zealand, I'm bearish, right? We broke the low. This is a new low. We're most likely going to retrace to the supply, probably take out this this liquidity, and then there is a fair value gap sitting in that same exact area or zone. So one more time, guys, it is taking candy from a baby, right? You hear me now? Set the position now, just like this, right? And that will take you home. Okay, you don't have to sweat being on the chart looking at it 24/7. Put in a sell limit order, have a 124 pip stop loss. Again, you can make that you can change it like this, right? Get you a 94, right? This is a big dog pair, all right? Pound New Zealand does numbers, and you can see just the move down to liquidity is giving you 473 pips, all right? Standard lot, it's almost 5 bands, right, guys? You got crazy setups and a really good chance of making some really good money this week. I just hope you guys are hearing me out, all right? But I'm bearish on pound New Zealand. Over to GJ. So GJ was bullish, right? Then we had a little change of character here to start the retracement. So now we're sitting in pretty much a demand area, if you will. So I'll just adjust it like this. We're sitting at demand, and we can absolutely rise because the JPY will do a little bit of falling. So I'm looking for GJ to rise and then potentially recheck the supply and start falling once again, but only time will tell. Guys, we have a nice head and shoulders pattern right here, which is a bearish reversal pattern. All right, so we started to do that, but again, we're hitting against demand in a uptrend, so we really want to be buying more than we want to be selling, of course. All right, so try to take a buy position from where we are on GJ now up to supply, and then take your money there, and then see if we're going to start rejecting. That way you can get into a sell and take it down however far GJ might drop. But for now, I am bullish on GJ. All right, moving over to silver, and with silver, it is very, very mixy. All right, but like I mentioned, I believe the dollar is going to rise overall, so I believe silver is going to fall overall. But because the dollar will fall just a little bit initially, right, then silver could rise a little bit initially, right? We get a little deeper into this fair value gap, maybe even push all the way up to this high, which I don't, it's not far-fetched, but you just never know. Okay, either way, you want to be selling from any one of these highs, if silver gets there. But we may just respect this supply area like we've been doing since Wednesday of last week, right? So Wednesday and Thursday we got there, Friday we got there, we dropped, and we're just consolidating a little bit. But the overall sentiment on silver is bearish. All right, so even if it happens to push up a little bit, you still want to be looking for your selling opportunities. We won't be officially bullish on silver until we start breaking above some major highs, right? We did right here, but we eventually, that was just a sweep, right? And then we eventually came back down. So until we start breaking, you know, maybe this high or this high, that's when silver will be officially bullish, and then you want to start looking for your buying opportunities. All right, so for now, just, you know, watch out for maybe a little push up somehow, right, to these areas, and then a drop. But if we don't get that push up, we're definitely getting a drop as the dollar begins to rise, probably Tuesday and Wednesday. So for silver, you know, get ready for a good selling opportunity. All right, moving over to gold, same exact thing, right? So we were bearish, broke the low, made the new low, all the retracement, right? This is where we started to really go up, but we just tapped into the supply area and fell, right? And now we're at another little minor supply area, and we're most likely going to fall from there as well, right? It's just, you got to, you know, let it kind of come out the gate showing you what it wants to do first before you make that move. Because again, it may get a little bit more of this sell side liquidity here, maybe here, right? You just don't know. All right, and then there's even more to the left right here. Okay, so that is a possibility of, you know, where gold can go before still falling. All right, guys, so be very careful. Like I mentioned, buying gold or silver, because it could be short-lived. You could make money, right? I'm not saying that that's not, you know, possible, but what I'm saying is we are still bearish, so you mostly want to be looking for your selling opportunities over your buying opportunities, and that's what's gonna, you know, make you a happy camper. All right, bearish on gold. Over to oil, so we know war is back on, right? And that will send oil pushing up. So we are bullish on oil as we broke the high, made the new high, started our retracement down. We're probably going to come down to demand, sweep this liquidity, maybe the low, before rising. But overall, I'm definitely bullish on oil. Just look for it to drop a little bit more before it makes that major rise up due to, you know, our economic or geopolitical tension with Iran. All right, moving over to SPY. So with the dollar looking like it's going to rise overall, right, SPY is looking like it's going to push up a little bit more into these highs, all right, as the dollar does a little bit of falling. Okay, but after the dollar falls and it begins to rise, guys, SPY looks like it's going to absolutely tank. So I'm looking at a situation where SPY is going to tap into supply, maybe sweep it, and then, you know, give us a change of character like this, and from there it's going to be lights out as we go to get sell side liquidity on SPY, guys. I'm looking at pretty much the headlines getting ready to say after CPI or PPI that the markets have crashed, right, or have made a major correction to the downside. So saying all that to say, I will be looking for a selling opportunity on SPY, and I think I'm going to make a ton of money, you know, doing such. All right, but I'm bearish on SPY. Over to NAS, same exact thing. I think we're going to get a little bit more of a push up, potentially maybe even here. And if we look left, right, we're seeing some equal highs in this area as a double top. Okay, so price may just shoot up here while the dollar's falling initially. All right, and we are still bullish on this retracement, even though you can see we broke the low, made the new low. So we're bearish, right, in the trend, but, you know, in this area right now, we're still bullish, right? We haven't, price has not come down to break below this low to, you know, tell us that it wants to drop yet. All right, so for that reason, we are still bullish, and we can easily start to rise up to this area, sweep that liquidity, and then use that liquidity to fuel the move back down. Guys, on NAS, coming from that high, getting down to this low is 2,000 points. That's ridiculous. All right, and again, if we don't happen to get up to these highs, maybe we just respect this supply area and come back down to that low, we're still looking at 1,300 points. All right, guys, this kind of setup and these kind of trades, you know, they don't come around too often, right? They do show up, but, you know, it's not always so nice and clean and pretty and textbook like it is now. So just letting you guys know, this is the week to take advantage of everything if you ever saw one, you know what I mean? So please don't sleep on the beat with the indices. I'm looking for major drops, and I think we're going to get that. All right, but make sure to let it rise first, right, before you go to sell. And if you sell it right now, it could disappoint you, as it will just push up. Okay, so wait for some confirmation of like lows being broken, or highs getting taken out. If you do that and then you sell it, things will be lovely. All right, bearish on Nas. Last but not least, US 30, guys. Man, this looks so good. All right, so good. We had a major trend line break right here. All right, so that's telling you that we're shifting from up to down, right? And then what we had here, we're getting here again in this minor bit of structure that you see here. So once again, we're getting the vibes of a nice little trend line being created on this move right here for US 30. So what I'm seeing is a break of a low, a new low, and a retracement back up to the supply area in this FEG. So I'm expecting US 30 to simply push up a little bit higher, maybe take out the swing high before potentially falling all the way down to this swing low here to the left. And guys, if you get into a sell from this area on US 30 and you push it, you're looking to take profit all the way at this low, you're looking at over 3,000 points on US 30. We all know that is money on top of money on top of money. You get that, you get 3 bands off a micro lot. So add another 0 for a mini lot and add another 0 for a standard lot. That tells you the kind of money and potential that you're looking at this week for US 30. Everything is set up and everything is ready to go. I'm very excited. My team is excited because we know these are the days that we've been waiting for to develop for a long time. Now they're here and we're definitely going to take full advantage. All right, I'm bearish on US 30, guys. Please take advantage, right? Let me know what you're thinking, what you're looking at, all those things, so we can all collectively, get to the moolah. All right, young money baby. All right, but in the meantime, in between time, guys, y'all know what to do. Like, subscribe, tell a friend to get them on in, and I'll see y'all, all right, on the other side. All right, it's your boy. Peace. Want to get money? Want to get paid? That's Forex. Like a sensei, then you know you got to come and swing my way. And if you want to fast forward here, replay.